It's strange that the same thing that is written down in the New Testament, or the Old Testament for that matter, how it's interesting when you come of age, you come of understanding how these things are still prevalent in today's society, the Western culture, and even in the all over the world, because YouTube has provided me this awesome stage where I could travel all over the world, still sitting in my bedroom or my living room, or anyway, I could travel all over the world, not experiencing things physically, but experiencing it through other people experience are living through, and to some degree, I know I'm able to just look all over the world and see that these things are still present with us today. And the topic of this teaching video, this message is: there is no law in rioting. There is no code. There is no statute. There is no respect in the good sense of respect, what respect mean in rioting. That's basically what I want to throw my hat in the ring and say. There is no code, there is no law in rioting. There is no statute, there is no respect in the good sense in rioting. So no matter what any one of us want to say, even if you're oppressed, it's tough because I have to come to the knowledge of the truth in this. You just can't riot. You have to do it through law, which in some sense the law, even if the law is evil, even if the law, you have to fight within the boundaries of what is given, even if the person is stronger. And I'm gonna go through this and just set it forth. I mean, the word of God is true, meaning what is true is just true. That's what I mean. Not everything that is written in the Bible is true, but what is true is gonna be there. And so the topic is: there is no law in rioting. So you're gonna find that even if you're being oppressed, even if, let's use this term, white supremacy, and I have much more to say on those things, you have to fight within the realm of the law. You have to fight in the realm of what is put forth for you to fight in. Once you go outside of that and cause rioting, and rioting in this sense, when we talk about rioting, let's divulge our meaning. What rioting meaning: there is burning, there is looting, there is stealing, there is anything that is outside of, let's use the term civility, in the sense that we're gonna sit and we're gonna sit, whatever that sit mean, in the court of law, and establish and fight in the court of law to establish rules that can benefit those who are oppressed, seemingly oppressed, or whatever. And this takes work, and this going to take time, and this gonna take effort, and this gonna take commitment, and this gonna take all the things that rioting to some degree cannot produce. Yes, rioting will produce something, but as long as those who are rioting don't get to the place that they can become a man or a woman, or a respectful man or woman, then look out in the future. Riot will come. And I'm going to describe to you what I understand what rioting, and I understand it. I believe I understand rioting perfectly. Those who are rioting, I believe why they're rioting, I start to understand it perfectly. Rioting is like this. And before we get into the New Testament and do this before a preface, the preface is long, and today's generation, including me to some degree, have a short attention span. We can't sit and really listen to good argument and challenge the argument. We resort easily to, and as they call it, ad hominem attacks, just attacking the person. And that's because we are we don't we are not developing a good sense of sitting down and even having a respectful debate in sense of debating the thing without resorting to ad hominem attack, because that's just what people who are baby in spirit do. Now, this is what is basically rioting. Rioting is those who don't have the words, the concept, the understanding, the knowledge, or the wisdom to articulate their views, their hurt, their pain, their suffering, their problem, their obstacles, and all those things. Those who riot, they cannot express these things good. And even those who have gone to school, even those who have gone to school are on the other side of those who are rioting, and they might say, look, we curse, but we went to school. In truth, though, they have not learned the ways of truth, that rioting may produce something, but unless those that are rioting start accepting knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, you could only look in the future for more rioting. So rioting is pretty much those who don't have the words, are the fortitude. Fortitude means it's a long battle. It might even extend beyond your lifetime. That's what fortitude means, and to get your point across. And yes, some may die in the process of getting that law or that real change to happen as Jesus did. So all that preface is to say, those people who are rioting, even those who are not, but giving those rioting, they should not give them the justification to riot, because riot would only prove destruction, basically. All right. There is no law in rioting. There is no code. There is no statute. There is no respect in the good sense of rioting. Let's look. It's right here in the New Testament, and we're going to see where rioting stems from. Usually rioting does not stem from the people who are actually rioting. Rioting stems from those who have an understanding of people who have not come to the understanding and knowledge and wisdom of these things, to cause those people who don't understand to riot. Look, let's look at the New Testament, if you understand what I'm saying clearly. When Paul went to, it says here in verse 21, after these things, when Paul had ended, he purposed in spirit to pass through Macedonia, Achaia, and go to Jerusalem, saying, after I have been there, I must also go to Rome. And he went to Macedonia. Okay, let's jump to verse 23. And the same time there arose no small stir about the way of Jesus, the way of truth, the way of living, the way of life, For certain men named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen, whom he called together with the workmen of their occupation, and said, sirs, he know that by this craft we have our wealth. This is basically where riot comes from. Those who are in authority, those who are more smarter, wiser, of understanding, they are the ones that I would call the serpent, who instigate those without true understanding to riot. Now look what Demetrius did. It is his wealth that came into his wealth that came into under his wealth. Let me see if I could put it this way. When he called together with the workmen of the occupation and said, sirs, you know that by this wealth by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but also almost throughout all Asia, that this Paul had persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods, which are made with hands. So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of our great goddess Diana should be despised, and Earth's magnificent should be destroyed. This is all BS right here. It's not about Diana. It's not about their worship. It's not about the magnificence of their temple. It's not about this. It's basically about wealth. We all come back to the same thing. It's basically about wealth. Once they see that their craft and their wealth was in jeopardy of them losing it, he called a group of people who are in the same occupation. This is how it always happened, without you know it or not. And they call them together. Let's read. Let's continue read. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, Great is the Diana of Ephesians. And the whole city was filled with confusion. And having caught Gaius and Aristarchus, men of Macedonia, Paul's companion in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theater. And when Paul would have entered into the people, the disciples suffered him not, of course, because they would literally kill you, but there's a riot going on here. Why was the riot? The riot was basically because these men with their fake craft, their fake God, their fake everything to produce wealth was in jeopardy because Paul was coming with the knowledge. Paul was coming with the understanding. Paul was coming with wisdom to show forth that many of these fake gods that we have even presently today that put people in jeopardy in their own life, Paul is coming to reveal the truth of the gospel, the message, the truth of God, the truth of living, the truth of the way. And so these guys' wealth was in jeopardy of being lost. So they had to stir up the people without knowledge and understanding to attack Paul without hearing the truth. That's basically what riot is. There is no law in riot. And certain of the chief of Asia, which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring that he would not adventure himself into the theater. Some therefore cried one thing, and some another, for the assembly was confused, and more part knew not wherefore they were come together. In other words, what they say in verse 32, in riot, there is no code, there is no statute, there is no respect in the good sense. Rioting is just really confusion. That's basically it. Riot will just kill. Riot will just hurt. Riot will just burn. There is no code. There is no statute. There is no respect in the good sense. There is nothing in rioting. But we can see the inception, or what is the point, or the instigation of this riot. And it's similar today. Even if we don't know the instigation or the point, which we know, what a riot just doesn't start like just let's riot. No, it starts, it's ignited from somewhere. Usually it's ignited in a boardroom, like these men of this occupation of the silversmith. It ignites itself in boardroom that we know not of. This is what Paul called spiritual wickedness in high places, where we are not sitting at boardroom tables with men who are orchestrating or creating false lies to deceive the people so that they could riot against the truth of the way. Look, verse 34. But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours cried out, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. This is confusion. And when the town-clerk, listen to the town-clerk now, listen to the town-clerk, had appeased the people, he said, He men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how that the city of the Ephesians is a worship of the great goddess Diana of the image, which fell down from Jupiter. That's their belief, that's their thought, that's their concept, that's their faith. Seeing then that these things cannot be spoken against, he ought to be quiet and not do anything rashly. Now listen to this town clerk. This particular town clerk had knowledge. He had understanding. Of course, he had fake understanding. His faith was in Diana and the image that fell down from Jupiter, whatever that means, if it was actually whatever image that fell down or whatever that is. I'm not going to get into that yet. But listen to the town clerk. And many of the people were not like the town clerk. And I perceive this town clerk was not in the boardroom with the silversmith, Demetrius. The town clerk was separate from sitting in the boardroom with Demetrius and the other occupations. So we are talking about the town clerk, which is of, you say, the world, secular, and you're talking about Demetrius, which of this particular faith, this particular religious doctrine. While they were separate, you see they're in conjunction with each other. They're coming into contact. Hear what the town clerk said, because this man was of knowledge and understanding. And even though he was of not the right faith, he was willing to address these things in a not peaceful manner, but in a respectful, in a good way manner. Look, verse 36. Seeing then that these things cannot be spoken against, he ought to be quiet and do nothing rashly. For ye have brought hither these men, which are neither robbers of churches, nor yet blasphemers of your goddess. Wherefore, if Demetrius and the craftsmen which are with him have a matter against any man, the law is open, and there are deputies. Let them implead one another. But if ye inquire anything concerning other matter, it shall be determined in a lawful assembly. Oh, we have all fallen short, because it has to be in a lawful assembly. And we know through knowledge that even if the assembly is not lawful, and we know if they are stronger than us, more powerful, the not the law is on their side, but the weight of the whole system is on their side. They can put you in jail, they can do that. You have to still enter into a lawful assembly to address and give your grievances, because riot will not prove profitable for those who are coming afterwards. And this is a great not mystery. Look what the town clerk, with understanding, with knowledge, look what the town clerk says in verse 40. For we are in danger to be called in question for this day uproar, which is rioting, there being no cause whereby we may give an account of this concourse, this confusion. And when he had thus spoken, he dismissed the assembly. Oh my God, we have all fallen short. Lawful assembly. There is no law. There is no code. There is no stature. There is no respect in the good word, in the good sense of respect, in rioting, which rioting is confusion. It cannot be. It will not stand. And we are setting up a wrong precedent for the other generation, that rioting will give you redress. It will not. Even if there is something that is changed through riot in our law, then if there becomes an issue in the future, one cannot riot to ask for redress. You have to enter into a lawful assembly to contest the issue or the problem or the grievances, so that it can be lawfully, um, um, I would say lawfully fixed. So look, the town clerk versus Demetrius and his fellow craftsmen who were fake religious. Their religiosity was so weak that they were so scared of these men. And the town clerk, rightly so, said, listen, let's just put it to the test. Let's do it in a lawful assembly. And when what we have here, they were dismissed. I mean, there is no law in rioting. We cannot riot. Even if I say I know, it's almost like this with a baby, and with my children, I have seen nephews and nieces, and with babies, physical baby that has not developed in thoughts, in ideas, in concept, in beliefs, in knowledge, in understanding, and with baby. When they are hungry, they need natural food. What they do is, because they don't have words, they cry. And depending on how old that baby is, it become a toddler, they have a tantrum, which they may, when you give them their bottle and they don't want it, depending on whatever they are crying for, because they have not developed the word, they don't know how to ask mommy or daddy in clear language that I need this. Rather, what they do as a baby, they scream, they throw a baby tantrum, they would throw desk, whatever they have, and they are strong enough to hold, they would throw it all over the place because they're having a tantrum and they don't know how to articulate their position. A lot of people with a baby mentality, with a grown body, still exist amongst us. And I'm sorry to say that people like Demetrius, people with knowledge that is securing their wealth, are using these people to riot and preying on their lack of communication skill, their lack of understanding. They're preying on them to riot in such a way that it will cause them hurt in the immediate run and not address the situation in the long term. It will just move the dial just a little bit. And so these people, a lot of them, they have a baby mentality. And so because they have a baby mentality, those like Demetrius and his fellow occupation who's trying to preserve their wealth, and this moves from just the church to many other things, to preserve their wealth, create or ignite this thing amongst the people so that they could refuse the way. I truly hope this is a blessing. The topic here is, there is no law. We have seen it, we have known it. Doesn't really matter which side, but there is no law. There is no code. There is no stature. There is no respect in the good sense in riot, which is confusion. I pray that this word will be a blessing to anybody, you and yours. Peace.